What screams I'm attracted to you? I went to dinner with a friend and someone visiting her from out of town. During the meal I noticed in the window glass reflection that the friend was staring at me with that look whenever I was turned to talk to her visitor. This was good, because I was very attracted to her, so I called her on it and embarrassed the crap out of her. She got her revenge by marrying me and having 5 kids. Waking up in the morning to see someone looking through your bedroom window with their penis in their hand. When someone needs someone's help for a basic as task, I assume there is a crush involved. You don't call someone you don't know that well to come over to your house to teach you how to pump a bike tire solely because you are too stupid to use a bike pump. I'm an oblivious idiot. Hey, can you help me this piece of code? I check her code. It's only missing a semicolon. There you go. It should work now. Thanks. A few days later, the same happens. And then again. And again. By this time I'm starting to think she's not the most competent developer. And maybe also that the prejudice about pretty girls who study programming just for the money is true. Then on the last time, after fixing her code, she started browsing her photos in front of me and asked if I like the girl besides her in the photo. I tell her that this girl isn't my type, so she asks me what kind of girls do I like. I said I don't know and thought to myself, what a weird question. God, I'm an oblivious idiot. I just realized that I've spent most of my middle school and high school years training myself to mask the fact that I had a crush on anyone instead of actually trying to communicate with those I liked. You know the look in her eyes when she's dying to have sex with you? Me neither. When you can actually feel the eye contact. I personally don't like the feel of another person's eyeballs on my skin, but whatever works. I'm making weird giggle noises because of you. See, there's some attraction happening right now. I pretty much need to be finishing up having sex with the person before I allow myself to believe she's attracted to me. I'm not bad looking by any means. I just have bad luck and my friends are way better looking. I caught a girl looking at me in the gym yesterday and somehow I still felt like the creep. From my personal history, when girls are looking at me they are trying to work up the courage to come and ask me to leave because I'm creeping them out. Grabbing someone's wrist hand and squeezing it lightly, placing an arm around their shoulder. Any playful physical contact really is a big tell someone is attracted to you. Many moons ago I met a girl and we hit it off. We talked a lot and I ended up walking her back to her room. We were on deployment. I was very young, 21, and she was older, so she had way more experience than I did. Of course I was attracted to her, but I just didn't know how to make the right moves at the right time. So we're talking in front of her room and we talked for a bit. The tension was there, but man, I was so bad at reading it. So I say goodnight and she says goodnight with a smile and puts her hand flat on my chest and kind of leaves it there just a tad long. And she smiles and turns away in this very disappointed but wishful manner. So I walk about halfway to my room and turn around and knock on her door. She answered and I just said I'm not ready to go home yet. We saw each other for a few years after that. She's my best friend now. Laughing when you make a bad joke, or laughing whenever you say something even slightly witty. Excuses to be near them. Let's study together. We'll get more work done. Oh, you're going that way, me too. Let's walk together. Oh, you're going to bed now? Let's go together. It'll be more comfy that way. Oh, you want to masturbate now? Let's go together. We can help each other. It'll be more pleasing that way. Eyes light up. They tend to smile when they are around you. If a random person connected to him or her asks you if you're single or not. Sometimes chicks get giggly or bashful. Girls check out guys just like we check out girls. So if you keep locking eyes, she's checking you out as well. Just go talk to them and hang out. Losing their train of thought when you walk by while they are talking to someone else. I was at a Uniqlo store one Christmas season. and I caught a cute young woman repeatedly looking at me. She eventually came up to me and asked, "Can I see what you look like in this jacket?" I obliged and tried it on. She then said, "Thanks. I'm getting this for my dad, and he's on the heavy side too." If she's sitting on your face, that's probably a strong indicator that she's into you. You'd be surprised, honestly. I had one girl I grew up with, and I guess we had enough of a weird brother-sister dynamic that she'd do things like try to tickle me to death while straddling my crotch in a completely non-sexual way. I think you missed your shot, bud. Whenever I talk to my crush, I have an uncontrollable smile. But it's like a big smile, and I try so hard to stop it, and I feel like I look pretty dumb most of the time. I'm pretty infamous for not being able to tell when people are flirting with me, but there's one thing that does tip me off. If they compliment my singing. I am not remotely a good singer. If they're telling me how good my singing is, then either they're buttering me up or so Twitter-pated that they genuinely hear it as better than it is. I can relate to this personally. My ex told me that I was a good singer for the longest time. She would do it before we were dating and during. When I broke up with her, she told me I had the worst singing voice she had ever heard. In my case, ignoring you as much as possible. Apparently my fiance dropped a whole lot of hints before we got together. A big standout was complaining that she didn't have any plans for our junior prom, and then asking me what my plans for that night were. My responded with something to the effect of "Duck prom. I'll be home playing Mario." I obliviously turned down a girl in favor of going to the midnight release of Halo with my bud. Absolutely no regrets. If they look at you, if they don't look at you, if they talk to you, if they don't talk to you. All in all, pretty simple stuff. If he performs an intricate mating dance then reveals his bright underplumage. A female friend of mine, M, told me one night she enjoyed conversing with me because of my education but was a bit intimidated because I reminded her of her dad. I replied telling her that was the fruitiest thing I'd ever heard and we laughed it off. She confessed she loved me a couple of days later. When you're in a group and the person consistently looks at you whenever something funny happens. When they volunteer the fact that they're single. If she's single and not attracted to you, she may not go so far as to lie about having ENSO, but she's not going to correct you if you assume she doesn't. She's certainly not going to bring it up on its own. An overly aggressive greetings card. Touching. Outside of friendly hugs and handshakes, generally speaking, we don't touch things we don't like. At least this has been my personal experience. Every time I've noticed a girl casually touching me, it turned out she was into me. Doesn't have to be sexual at all either. A light touch or squeeze on the shoulders, arm, or leg can be very telling. I actually had to point this out to a buddy once who is terrible at picking up signals. Girl we were out with kept touching his back, arms, even messing with his hair. I was like, dude, you need to make a move because she is pretty much throwing herself at you. This is what messes with me. My female friend who is in relationship for 6.5 years touches me a lot like that, but I don't know how to interpret this. In a relationship for 6.5 years and her being physical with you means oh good. It won't be weird because he knows I'm taken and I can be friendly with him. Hope that helps. IDK if it's just my fiance, but she would always make an extra effort to be around me more than she already was. I stayed at her family's house often. I had a bad home life. She would switch her classes in the beginning of the year so we could have the same schedule, walked me to classes if we didn't have the same ones, and sat with me at lunch. I always thought it was because she was worried about me. I was really depressed. Again, bad home life. But she told me a few months ago that it was because she liked me and hoped that I felt the same way. I did. Just didn't know how to express it, and I was clueless about the signals. It ended up working out though. We now have a family together and we get married in October. Screaming I'm attracted to you. Everything else is too subtle for us guys. Even then it's too subtle. If someone said that to me I'd step out of the way so they can get to the person I think they are actually talking to. When she tries to break you and your girlfriend up so she can have you to yourself. Thanks to these comments now I know scientifically that nobody likes me. Ever since I was in high school, whenever I was genuinely attracted to someone, I found myself looking into their eyes and kind of evaluating their face. I'd look at the lips, eyes, hair, etc. while they talked to me. I'd also like to get really close literally, when we talked face to face. Last man I did that to, we ended up getting married. I'm still married to him and find myself doing this to only him. I never realized I did this till he pointed it out. That's exactly what my dog does whenever he sees me eating. Do you think I should make a move?